Hey Aubrey, how's it going today? How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Lindsay?
Good. Have you been shopping lately? Out there shopping and maybe the holiday season or post-holiday deals?
Totally. I'm not a huge shopper, but I do look for deals. I'll go straight to the clearance rack, and
Yeah.
often I'll wait to buy something once it's on sale.
Nice. I usually just get hand-me-downs when it comes to clothing. People just
Same.
like family members are just like, "Here, I don't want this anymore." And I just take that.
Same. I get hand-me-downs from my teenage daughters now. They're like getting rid of clothes, and I always go through it. I'm like, I'm
You're
keeping some
like,
of
"It's
this.
still in style for me." Okay, we
Totally.
have
I don't
different
care.
style rules. But Aubrey, what is something recently that you got a great deal on? Anything specific?
Oh, yes, we gave ourselves for Christmas. It's like a vacuum mopping robot that goes around the
Yeah.
house. You can
Oh, I've
program
seen
it
it.
to oh, I
Mhm.
love it, but it was on sale $250 off at Costco. So we had wanted it, we'd seen it, but it's a little pricey, and then when it went, we're like, "Okay, that's a good deal.
That's a
We're
good
gonna buy
deal.
it."
You kinda have to go after those deals when you see those because you know
Totally.
they won't come back. Does it work or does it get itself stuck in the wall and just jam against the wall? I mean,
It
does it
works
actually work?
great, because you're able to program it with, like, Bluetooth. Every now and then this one actually hasn't. We used to have just the vacuum one, and it would sometimes get, like, stuck,
Yeah.
something maybe between the carpet and the tile, but this one never has. I think they've improved the technology.
That's kind of awesome. I love that. So I'm excited to let our listeners know what we're getting into today. At the top of the show, Aubrey, I asked you what's something you got a great deal on. So getting
Yes.
into this word today, deal. Yeah?
Yeah, and we use it a lot of different ways. It's not just about cost savings. That is one of the ways we use it. That came up recently when you and Michelle were talking about buying in bulk. So stay to the
Mhm.
end. We'll share that episode in case you missed it. But I heard that and was like, oh, we use this for a lot of interesting phrases and a lot of interesting ways. So that's what we're going to dive into, all the
Okay.
ways we use the word deal in English.
Yeah, but first, guys, hit the follow button. If you love All Ears English, if you love our philosophy, which is connection, not perfection, it means that we believe connection is the most important reason we're learning languages, right? We're learning English to connect. We show you how to do it. Hit the follow button if you want to become part of this community, right, Aubrey?
Absolutely. And this vocabulary is a great way to connect in English because when you find out what is a big deal for
Yeah,
people, we're going to share this phrase among others, something being a big deal.
yeah.
You learn more about their values, more about them. So this is an interesting way to connect.
I love this kind of episode where we can, ask a question or insert a vocabulary word and learn so much about someone to truly connect. So let's start with the meaning we had at the top of the show, cost savings, right? Number
Yeah.
one, the first
Yeah.
meaning.
So I
Yes.
was saying I got a deal on that vacuum mop. We could say, I got quite a deal on this car. Sticker price was 25,000 and I got it for 18.
Yeah. Wow. That is a good deal
Yeah,
for
that's a pretty good
sure.
deal.
Yeah. Or I go straight to the clearance rack to get the best deals. Yeah. So you go to places like Nordstrom Rack, right? I
Yeah.
think you mentioned, Aubrey, you like Nordstrom Rack
I
before.
do. I go to Nordstrom
Hmm.
Rack, but then I go straight to the clearance rack. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
even going to the regularly priced
Yeah.
discounted stuff.
I used to go to TJ Maxx all the time. Do you ever go to TJ
I
Maxx?
do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like to go there too. I've been burned a couple times because I would
Mm.
buy something there that was like dry clean only and
Uh,
didn't realize. So now I have to check labels and I don't go there as often because I realized
uh,
some of the clothing there I can't just throw in my washer.
yeah, maybe it's a phenomenon of the aughts. I don't know, but I used to go there all the time when I was a teenager, a kid in my hometown. So,
Totally.
anyways, we all have our go-to kind of discount racks that we go to. Aubrey, what's the second way that we use the word deal?
Yeah, the second one is something is a big deal and it means
Yeah.
that something is important. So, as
Yeah.
an example, maybe it'll be a really big deal if we get awarded this contract at work. And this is
Yes.
probably the best one for connection.
Hmm.
If someone's talking about something and you're asking them, okay, like I can see this is a big deal for you. It's even a
Yes.
good way to sometimes when you recognize something is really important, but you don't know what to say, you don't want
Yeah.
to give advice right away. You're
Right.
sort of, saying like, I can hear that. I can tell that this is a big deal to you.
Yeah, you just want to respond somehow,
Totally.
right? You don't want to
Yep.
be a blank face, nothing, no response, something. Oh, this seems like a really big deal. I love that. I can see this. That's a
Yep.
really wise comment, right? When it comes to connection.
Exactly. It has this very similar meaning to I can tell that this is really important for you, but even more
Mhm.
native and natural.
I love that. And then natives also say, no big deal, right? No big deal. So that's just kind
Exactly.
of the opposite of that. It's no big deal to get here early. What do we mean when we say that? It's no
Yeah,
big
this is
deal.
not important. Like, oh, maybe someone's like, we have to be there 15 minutes early, and someone else might say like, no, it's really no big deal to get there early. Like, there's not going to be
Got it.
anything important happening.
Got
But
it.
we use this most often as a response. So let's do a mini role play to show that.
Okay.
I'll start us. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for watering my plants while I was gone.
Ah, no big deal at all.
Yeah, like, it
Yeah.
was no big deal. No big deal
Yeah.
at all. It's you wanting me to not feel like I've put you out, right?
Yes,
This is a
and
connection skill too, when you
yes.
are saying you're welcome, but in a way that lets somebody know, like, I wasn't really inconvenienced.
Yeah, we
Happy to
find
help.
we need this a lot, like taking care of your neighbor's plants or their cats or their dogs when they're
Mhm.
gone. You do need something to say because people might feel guilty for having asked you to do that or they
Right.
want to repay you somehow, but you want to make sure you're really emphatic. We say, "Oh, it was no big deal at all. I was happy to do it." Right?
Exactly. This is one of my favorite options, and I do this a lot. I want people to feel comfortable asking me for favors. I want to be able to help when I can, and I don't want them to
Mhm.
feel guilty about it, like they've inconvenienced me.
Yeah, exactly. And then number 3, Aubrey, there's still another way we use the word deal, and what is it?
Yeah, it's what's the big deal? So this is
Mhm.
telling someone they're making too much out of a minor issue. It's similar
Mhm.
to we recently talked about the idiom making a mountain out of a molehill. So if you missed
Yes.
that, scroll up, don't miss these. Make sure you're following so you don't miss these great episodes. But
Yes.
this, so like you might say to someone, why are you so upset? What's the big deal? And
Right.
so this one you have to be a little more careful with because you are definitely implying that you think they are making a big deal about something that you don't think is that important.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You could sound kind of dismissive
This
of
very
what
dismissive,
they're worried about. You could sound like you're not taking care of the person very well, right? So,
right?
be careful there. But here's a good I ask myself this question all the time, every weekend between August and February. What's
Totally.
the big deal with football in the US? Right? Or I suppose for our listeners around the world, soccer is a bigger deal. What's the big
Yeah.
deal with soccer,
And they would
right?
say it the same way wherever they live, right? "What's the big deal with football?" And they would mean soccer. Totally.
Exactly. So
I
you're
said this
just
just yesterday because there was a big, college playoff game that everyone
ah,
was making this huge deal out of,
oh,
and I'm just kind of like, "What's the big deal with this game?" I'm just not
oh
as
my
into it as a
gosh.
lot of people are.
I feel your pain. I spent all of Saturday, it was my partner's birthday, and that was what that was what we were gonna do. That was the fun thing, and so the family came and we watched 2 games in a row, the Denver Broncos
It's like 8 hours.
and then Colorado State or Col University of Colorado is just one game after another, and all of a sudden people were
You
jumping
really
up and
took one for
screaming.
the
They were
team
so
there.
loud. Big time, big time. And okay, Aubrey, we are back for a role play. Are you ready? Let's go into it. So
Yeah.
here, what's the scenario?
I am an auto mechanic, and you have brought in your car in this role play.
Perfect. Here we go.
I'll
So
start us out.
go for it.
What's the deal with the car?
Well, the brakes are making a squealing noise.
Gotcha. Should be no big deal to fix that.
Well, my friend Marie recommended you and said you'd give me a deal if I mention her name.
Absolutely.
Yes, nice. Okay. So again, a very different use, but we're not talking about football anymore and what matters. It's what's going on with the car, right?
Exactly, right? That first thing I said, you bring in a car, this might be what the mechanic says. Okay, what's the deal
Mhm.
with the car? Means what's going on with the car?
Exactly. And then you said, gotcha. Should be no big deal to fix. So you're just saying, I can take care of this. I can
Yeah,
handle
I
this.
can fix it quickly.
Yeah,
It's not a major issue.
exactly. And you also took off a pronoun there. What did you take off?
Yeah, instead of saying it should be no big deal, yeah, we'll drop that and just say should be no big deal.
Yep. It should be no big deal, or this should be no big deal.
Mhm.
Either of those would be good. And then what did I say, Aubrey?
And then you said, my friend Marie recommended you and said you'd give me a deal if I mention her name. So you're sort of asking for a discount. This is the kind of deal like you're asking them not to charge you the regular price because you've been recommended by a friend or a current customer.
Yeah, and this feels very natural, right? This conversation, this back and forth, inserting deal here and there in different ways, don't you think?
Yeah, it doesn't really feel because they have such different meanings. It wouldn't
Hmm.
even be like, oh, this is weird. I'm using the word deal over and over. Nope. We
Yes.
probably would have them all in the same conversation.
Exactly. I love that. Now, there's another episode our listeners should check out. That is 2337, guys. Go over and check it out. Why do Americans love bulk buying? And again, that's our conversation about Costco. And Costco is a global phenomenon. So we want to know what you all think about Costco and bulk buying. Is it common in your culture? We asked those questions in that episode.
Yes, and that's the episode that inspired today's episode because you guys were talking about how, is it a better deal, right, to buy
Yes.
in bulk? Is there some cost savings there?
Yes, I love it. What's our takeaway for today?
Yeah, you can find out a lot about someone by discovering what they think is a big deal. So not only is it a
Mhm.
good connection skill to, respond, "Oh, I can tell that this is a big deal for you." When you're
Mhm.
having these conversations, often that's the goal to find out what is a big deal to people, right?
Yeah, it's so important, right? Asking those questions, or you're asking, is this a big deal to you? Maybe someone is kind of holding their cards close, close in. What's that expression? Holding their
Close to the
cards, right?
chest, holding
Close
their
to the
cards close to the
Yeah.
chest, like you're playing poker and they're making sure no one can
Yeah.
see their cards, yeah.
A lot of people are that way, right? Personality wise, they just aren't very expressive. And so
Yeah,
you could ask the question, hey, is this a big deal? Can do you want to talk about it? Really good way to start to build connection, right?
absolutely. Yes, I love these phrases, excited for you to be able to use all of them. So fun.
All right, good stuff. Guys, hit the follow button on All Ears English, and we will see you next time. Aubrey, have a
Awesome.
good week.
You too. See you next time, Lindsay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.